Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Our final years are rarely golden, but fellow Psychology Today blogger Meg Selig's new book, Silver Sparks, offers practical advice on how to pan for silver. Here are some of its nuggets and my amplifications and other thoughts on each. First, she writes, death awareness can be a great motivator, end quote. Yeah, being aware of the hourglass's sands rapidly dropping can motivate us to contribute as much as we can, while we can, and or derive the most pleasure we can while we can. But too much focus on death can mean a fearful life. My best approach to death is to not think about it. Like all aging people, I needn't think about it. It's obvious that the days are dwindling. So when fear of death enters my consciousness, I calm myself by reminding myself that I won't be any more aware of being dead than I was before I was born. And regarding a possibly painful dying process, I balm myself by thinking that when the pain outweighs the upsides of living, I'll get my doctor to pleasurably send me into La La Land with some cool drugs. I live in one of the states that have death with dignity laws, so-called death with dignity laws, and I hope that by the time I need it, the highly restrictive laws as to who can use that law, typically 6 months or less to live and being fully compos mentis, will be liberalized. And if the government won't let me, I'll use whatever drugs I can to make my life more tolerable. Indeed, there's long been evidence supporting the common sense idea that psilocybin, the so-called magic mushrooms, ease the dying process. And now there is even a push to make it legal. Selig quotes Tao master Mantak Chia. A constant inner smile to oneself ensures health, happiness, and longevity. That doesn't require being chirpy, internally or not. It means a sense of gratitude for even the small pleasures that you won't be able to enjoy after you die. For example, Selig cites coffee with a friend, flowers, and a shapely vase. Also, I appreciate listening to a favorite piece of music. For example, apropos of this topic, check out, and these are all on YouTube, Frank Sinatra singing Autumn Leaves, him singing It Was a Very Good Year, or as Selig recommends, him singing September Song. But it must be said that like most advice on dealing with a big problem, gratitude, let alone for the small things, is mere palliation, incremental and temporary. Yeah, it's still worth it. Selig then writes, make a mental note of, or write down, 1 to 3 of your day's successes, including small wins. Among the 25 examples Selig lists, here are distilled versions of 3 unusual ones. You responded better than you normally would. You said no to someone's request because you needed to work on your own project. You decided that something wasn't worth doing, and so you quit. Selig said, or wrote, formulate a retirement elevator pitch, elevator message, if you will. What you did before, what you do now, and your plans for the future. That's a good idea. And maybe a couple of examples will trigger your own elevator message. Here's one. I used to be a psychotherapist. Now I focus on my grandkids, getting together with friends, and when the COVID threat lessens, while I'm still young enough to risk it, take a big trip. I've always wanted to spend quality time in small villages in Asia. Here's another example of an elevator message. I used to be a corporate executive and now want to do a 180. To write the great American novel that probably will never get published, learn how to bake. I love the smell of bread and cake baking, and hope that someone will let me sit on a nonprofit's board of directors, but who knows. Selig writes, key to longevity, consciousness. Conscientious people are less likely to smoke, drink to excess, abuse drugs, or drive too fast. They're more likely to wear seatbelts and follow doctor's orders. The question is, how can risk takers become motivated to improve, especially if, like millions of people, they feel that their life is bad enough that it isn't worth the effort to prolong it? I have no pat answers, only 2 admittedly imperfect ideas. If you're one of those people, do you want to think of a baby step that you would find easy yet worthwhile to take? Also, it might be motivating to realize that if you do take care of yourself, your health span will more likely approach your lifespan. That is, you're less likely to have a long, painful dying process. Regarding exercise, Selig wrote, the people who increased lifespan the most, she was citing a study here, walked the most. The people who increased lifespan the most walked the most, 43 minutes a day, lengthening their life by an average of 4.2 years. After 43 minutes, the benefits tended to level off. Now, I particularly like that suggestion because, as it happens, I walk that much. We all like ideas that comport with our own behavior and views. Do consider that as you're evaluating any idea. Don't let confirmation bias color your judgment. I also need to say about this that research finding, I view it skeptically because it may have fallen prey to a correlation-causation fallacy. It may well be that people who walk longer live longer because they're healthier, not because the longer walking increases their health or longevity. To take an extreme example, a person who started the study in perfect health is far more likely to be able to walk for 43 minutes than is someone who is in end-stage heart failure. She wrote, in doing a death clean-out, that is cleaning your house as though your family would have been doing it after you're dead, she wrote, I came upon a journal that I had written in my 20s. It contained all sorts of cringeworthy things that I would never want anyone to know about. I shredded that journal. And honestly, reading that made me do exactly that with my journal. Now here are 3 of my own ideas about how to age well. Resist society's labeling your aging by chronology. I know people in their 50s who seem half dead, while others in their 80s are vibrant. Realistically, self-appraise. Adjust your expectations accordingly, and then take baby steps toward at least modest self-improvement, and forgive yourself the inevitable mistakes. For example, forgetting where you left your keys. Hey, even teenagers do that. So what if you do that more often? Just be concerned if you forget what keys are for. My next little tip, you may or may not have acquired wisdom over the decades. As Neil Simon, the playwright, wrote in his wonderful play Broadway Bound, it's great if you haven't seen it, wisdom doesn't come with age, it comes with wisdom. But it can't hurt to fake it. Ever ask yourself, what would my wisest self do in this situation? My final tip on aging well, be conscious, not reflexive in your charity. If you've been diligent and lucky and thus have acquired discretionary assets, consider making gifts based on what would do the most good and that you'd feel particularly good about. Yeah, for some people that means gifting your kids or grandkids up to the $15,000 per person per year that the government allows without imposing gift tax on you, or bequeathing most of your estate to them. But for other people, a wiser choice is to give much or even all your charitable dollars to individuals or organizations you believe in. For example, as I've often talked to you about, I donate to a working class school district's foundation earmarked for mentoring intellectually gifted kids. I would give anything to be 20 and not 70, alas no one's offering. But Selig's book, Silver Sparks, offers useful advice on how to keep the silver years from too quickly tarnishing. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and I especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. And in any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.